Welcome everyone, my name is Jessica and this is Simple, Cheap and Easy DIYs. Hello everyone, this will be the living room makeover part 1, the flooring. Let's start off by just showing you around the living room. Now there are 2 French double doors that go here and I'll be showing you those a little bit later once we get them ready to install. First, I do want to say that the electrical wire that you do see on the wall is 100% safe. The wire that was in the home previously, if anyone knows what knob and tube wire is, that's what was in the home. And I'll insert a picture up top just to kind of show you, and that was not safe. So this all has been approved by our friend who is an electrician, and it is temporary. We're going to actually change that over a little bit later. As far as for the living room though, the ceilings are a little over 10 foot tall in this room and around 300 square foot for the flooring. Now there is this large mirror that is very heavy that is attached to the wall. We will be removing that later, but for now we're just going to leave that as is. And this fireplace is no longer working. It has been sealed up, but I plan on redoing that as far as for decoration. And with the mirror, like I said, this is bolted in, so I'm going to try to remove this the best we can, not to damage any of the shells, because it is pretty, just not for a living room. The entry and exit doors, as you can see, they definitely need to be painted. And the wallpaper, I don't know if we're going to keep that or not. Originally, I was going to try to keep it, but I'm thinking we may need to paint over it. You can leave me a comment down below and let me know what you think. And this is the carpet that's was in the living room at the time. It's this yellow mustard color. Probably the late 70s is when this room was last updated. But here's a couple more close-ups of the actual wallpaper. It used to be white with a lot of gold accent, and that's why I'm torn if I want to paint it or if I want to try to restore it and keep it as is. Now, when this home was originally built, it was built in the very early 1900s, so it is an old farmhouse style home, and I want to try to keep a little bit of the old house in it because I do like the antique vintage look, but I do also want to update it as well. The living room does have these original stained glass windows, so this is all original from when the home was built. They have placed storm windows on the outside, single pane glass, so these windows actually don't open to outside any longer. But the windows we're probably just going to keep as is. We're definitely going to keep the stained glass part. We may change out the storm windows for more functional windows. And these were the curtains that were here when we purchased it as well. So we're definitely going to be changing these out. Now to start for the flooring, all we're going to do is we're going to take a hammer and very gently, because like I said, we don't want to mess up the wallpaper in case we decide to keep it. Just going to pry the top part of the baseboard off, and then we're going to repeat that all the way around. Now this part was fairly easy to come out. We just, like I said, just gently pulled it out from the wall. Now this wood is very old, so we did have a couple pieces that cracked. So I may actually try to just repair them, paint them, and use the same baseboards because this is 100% solid wood. When we were removing the baseboards, we did see a lot of this writing on some of them. We're not really sure what it meant, but it was kind of cool to see that placed on the back of it. I'm assuming that's the people who originally installed the flooring. Now for the bigger baseboards, those were a little bit harder to remove. For this piece example, there was, I think, 6 different nails that were holding it in. And it was kind of in an awkward place to get to, so this piece did break a little, but I think we can actually repair it and keep it the way it is and then just repaint it. And then of course we'll be using re-nails to install all of this. But basically we just took the hammer and gently pried it off the wall piece by piece. That way it didn't cause it to break more. So these little side pieces were the hardest, and then the larger, thicker baseboards, they actually were not as bad, but still kind of difficult just from the age. We had a couple that split, but I think we can actually fix those and paint them and use them again. And here's what I was telling you about, that some of them cracked when we tried removing it. But again, I'm pretty sure with a little bit of wood putty, we can actually just seal that back up and paint over it, because I would like to try to at least keep these baseboards since they are part of the original home. Like I said, I want to try to keep some of the original parts in it without replacing everything. Once we have all the baseboards removed, then my husband's going to go ahead and start pulling up the carpet. And he basically just made a little slit on one of the door entries, and then it's just going to start peeling it back off of the wood tacks that were holding it in place. Now this carpet is very old and very dirty and very stained up. As you can see, there is a lot of dust flying, so we are wearing masks while we're pulling this carpet up. But because of the age, you can just see it's just cracking whenever he was pulling it up and pulling it away from the flooring. And we do have pretty good floors underneath that carpet. There was a few little dips and so forth, but nothing major. Everything was fairly in very good condition. And as you can see, this carpet, because of the age, it just pulls up very easy, and actually surprisingly very easy. So he just pulled it up into strips, and then we first removed all the carpet, and then after we removed the carpet, we then removed the padding underneath. And so he's just going to start tearing that all up. And there's one of our little helpers. This is Diesel. He's about 90-pound American bully, nothing but a big baby. And the first dog you saw at the window, that is Deja. But he's just kind of a little upset with us that we're taking away his carpet. But again, with the carpet, he's just going to pull it up from around all the sides and away from the vents as well. Now we are going to put the vents back in, but we're not sure if we're going to keep the central heating and air, because when we bought it, all of the under pipes need to be replaced, and it doesn't have a heating and cooling unit. We may actually go with the ventless heating and cooling, but again, we don't know yet, so we're just going to keep those in case we decide to go back with central heat and air. And we had missed one of the baseboards, so when he went ahead and removed it, we found a lot of random things in there. This particular one had a bunch of fabric that was stuffed inside, so we went ahead and took that out. And then once we had most of the carpet up, my husband actually started pulling away the framing. As you can see, this fireplace does have these metal pieces that was holding the carpet in place. We're going to be removing that. And I don't know if we're going to keep the tile here or not. I really like it. It's like a marble tile, but it is cracked in a few places. So I don't know if we're going to try to repair it or if we're just going to replace it. Again, leave me a comment down below and let me know what you think we should do. Once we had the carpet padding pulled up, there was a lot of staples that was holding this carpet padding down. So once we got all of that removed, we actually had to remove all of the staples that was in this board. That was probably the most tedious part, was getting them all removed out. And there is a couple different ways you can do that. They do have staple removers that you can use, but I'm guessing because of the age of the home, the staples that they used were really long and the staple remover was not working that great. The best way that we found was just using a flathead screwdriver and going underneath the staples, prying them up, and then pulling them up with a pair of pliers. That was the way that we found that worked the best for us. Once all the staples were up, it was time to go ahead and remove these tack strips to hold the carpet in place. And the easiest way that my husband found was taking a screwdriver and placing it right under the nail that actually held it to the floor, and then prying it up using the hammer. I'm sure there's other ways to do it, but we're not professionals. This is our first time doing anything like this, so this is just the way that worked best for us, and it actually went by pretty fast for the amount of pieces that he actually had to remove. And then we just did that all the way around the entire room. Now here you can kind of see the cracks I was talking about in the fireplace front. This part I think that we could actually cover up with a little bit wider border, but you can see right about where his hand's at, there's a crack that goes all the way up, and that's what I'm not sure if we can actually fix, or if this color actually even goes with the new flooring that we placed in. But again, if you have any tips or suggestions, leave me a comment down below. Also leave me a comment down below if you think we should paint the walls, what color you would go with once you see the flooring in place. But again, he's just going to continue to remove all the borders from around the fireplace area as well. Okay, and here's what it looks like once we have all of the borders and everything removed. We just got to clean up these two mess piles, and then we can start laying down our new flooring. Now for this flooring, I did go with this peel and stick tile just because we're doing it ourselves. First time putting in flooring, and the weird shape of our living room. Also, the living room is 18 foot by, 18 foot by 15 foot. We would have had to piece together any type of linoleum that we placed or anything like that. We didn't want to go with carpet because we do have dogs, but these actually work out pretty well. And all you do is just line them up, make sure you place them all in the same direction. Now, normally the peel and stick tile will just stick to the floor as is. You don't have to do anything, and this is what it would look like once you placed it down. But because a little bit of our floor is uneven, as well as because we have dogs, we went ahead and took an extra step and glued them down just to ensure that they lasted a little bit longer. And we may change this in the future, but this is just us fixing the floor. That way we can go ahead and start using this large living room. But this is what it looks like once you place them together. And again, for the peel and stick tile, you'll just peel the backing off, and in most cases they stick right to the wood floor. But again, I think it's because of the age of the home is the reason why that they weren't sticking as good as they should have. But you'll always just want to make sure that the arrows all place in the same direction. And this really isn't that hard. It looks a little harder because the fact that I'm doing it with one hand. But I'm just using my Dollar Tree broom, make sure all the dust is up, and then I'm going to stick them on. Now this kind of gives you an idea of what they look like all together, but I'm not sure again why they weren't sticking properly, so we went ahead and redid them using this stick and stay. So what we did is it's like this almost like spackle type consistency. We went ahead and applied some to this scraper, and my husband just smoothed it out. Now here we're just showing one square, but after we initially show you this, what we actually found worked better was we had a little system. He would go through and apply enough for 2 or 3 squares, and then I would start laying down the tile, and we would just work in strips. And we found that actually worked out really good and actually really fast. So we got it down a lot quicker. He's just gonna give an even layer all the way down. Once he has that smoothed out, then we're just gonna place the tile on top. And then using a roller, he's just going to roll it out to give it a little bit of weight to help it adhere a little bit better. And again, once we initially show you this here and we're done filming this piece, we're going to start working in strips, and it actually goes along pretty quickly. We'll also leave a list in the description box below of the items that was used, and also a link to purchase if it's available. Okay, And then here's a little update of what it's looking like so far once we have several of them applied. And then we're just going to keep applying it till we get to the pieces that actually have to be cut, and then I'll show you how to cut those as well. Okay, now we're to the pieces that need to be cut. Now again, there are probably a lot of ways to do this. This is just the way that I found that worked for me. I took one of the paper backings from one of the tiles and lined it up with the last tile we installed. And again, I'm using one hand to do this, so if I wasn't holding my phone, it'd probably be a lot easier to do this. But I'm just gonna mark out where I need to cut, and I'm gonna take a Sharpie and just kind of draw a line to give me a template of where I need to cut. And then once I have that drew out, and this is gonna be for any pieces that I need to cut, I'm just gonna take that and then place it on one of my tiles. That way I have a template of where I need to cut, that way it'll fit perfectly in place. So taking my tile, I'm just going to place that on top. And again, it looks a little difficult here, but really it's not. It's so much easier. I'm just going to use these tile cutters, which I got at Lowe's. And this tile is super easy to cut. Just going to take it and I'm going to start cutting at the line, and then I'm going to cut all the way up. And then that'll be the piece that we use for this section, and then any of the future pieces that we cut as well. Okay, and then this is what it will look like once I have it cut. It's okay if the ends are a little crooked because they're going to be covered up by the baseboards. And then I'm just going to place it on, make sure it fits in place, and then we're going to go back and glue it in just to make sure that it does have a very good hold. And then we're just going to cut the rest of the pieces for the rest of the flooring and get those installed. And here is what the floor looks like completely installed. Now you can see over by the doorway, I haven't placed tile there yet because I'm actually waiting for the strips to come in for the door frame and for the flooring around the fireplace. I actually had to order the colors that match the flooring, so I'm waiting for those to come in. And we haven't reinstalled the baseboards yet because we're actually going to be painting those as well, and it's going to be easier when they're off. That'll be coming up in my next video, as well as you can see, I've gotten my curtains in, or at least part of my curtain order in. I had to order them because of the length of the windows. I couldn't find any in stock because I had to get 95-inch length just to fit like the ones that are up now. And that heater, we're actually going to move that out. That's just there because it was cold for us to be working. And where that sheet is hanging, that's where the French double doors are going to go, and we're going to be placing those in a future video as well. So here is the flooring. The lighting is a little bit bad, but I'll show you a close-up of it here in a moment. And again, this is it fully installed. I hope everyone enjoyed it, and I hope you look forward to the next videos where I redo the curtains, the baseboards, and either clean or paint the walls. Not sure again what we're gonna go with there, but I really like this flooring. I think it helps brighten up the room. Now the lighting is not the best in here, but we're gonna be fixing that as well in upcoming videos. But now I'm just going to show you a little bit of a close-up of what the actual color looks like for the flooring, and it still is a little bit wet because I just mopped it and got all the glue up. But here is the before picture and the after picture. Again, leave me comments down below on what you think I should do with the walls, the paint colors, anything that you'd like to leave me a comment on. You can do so down below. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope everyone enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you give this video a big thumbs up. As always, you can leave me a comment down below. And if you're not already subscribed to my channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Till next time, hope everyone has a great day.